Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Dr. SACHIN'S podcast. For a long time, I was thinking of doing a podcast on quality management system. At last, that day has dawned. And today, we are going to talk about quality management system, especially in the context of healthcare organization. You will say, what the heck is this quality management system? It is a set of policies, processes, and procedures required for planning and execution in the core business area of an organization. Sounds difficult and boring? Yes, but this is very important. It is a set of policies. What is the policy regarding particular delivering a particular service or making a particular item? What are the processes involved in giving the services? And what are the exact procedures to be followed in giving the services? So a set of these three things, policies, procedures, processes and procedures is nothing but quality management system. The core area of any business might be anything related to production, development or service. Examples of production and development includes as in industry in the conventional sense and service as in the healthcare organization. What I am going to talk today is taken mostly from ISO standard 15189, but I think in principle it is and it can be equally applicable for all healthcare facilities. So the first thing in quality management system is we should establish, document, implement and maintain a quality management system and continually improve its effectiveness. So each and every word is important. Establishing a quality management system, what we are going to do. Then once we have found out what we are going to do in which way, then we have to document it. And once we have documented, next step comes is to implement it, to make it work. And third thing is maintaining the same. So implementation and maintenance, both are very important. Otherwise we implement and then things start to fall apart again. So one more thing is we should also continuously improve its effectiveness. We should determine the processes needed for quality management system and ensure their application throughout the organization. For example, processes include a reception of a patient or examination of a patient or admission of a patient or discharge of a patient. All these are processes. But to define a process is nothing but a set of interrelated or interacting activities which transform inputs into outputs. One more example could be billing a patient. So input is patient gives money, patient gives information, the clerk feeds the same into the computer and out comes the bill. So this is an example of a process. So we should determine processes needed for quality management system and ensure their application throughout the organization. Next thing is we should determine the sequence and interaction of these processes. This can be best done by plotting a flow chart. So what happens when a patient is admitted, or in the context of laboratory, what happens when blood is drawn from a patient. So this can best be done by plotting a flow chart. Next, we should determine criteria and methods needed to ensure that both the operation and control of these processes are effective. So when we would say that particular process is effective, by what criteria, by what method? That's the meaning of this. So when we would say a process is successful, that what are the criteria for that? What are the methods of assessing the same? That we should determine. Next, we should ensure the availability of resources and information necessary to support the operation and monitoring of these processes. So for carrying out a particular process, what resources are needed, what information is needed. For monitoring the process, what all resources are needed, what information is needed, all that thing. That we have to make sure that those resources and information is available. Examples of resources include man, materials, methods, money, etc. So that we have to make sure that everything is available. Otherwise, we'll fall short in the middle of a process. Next, we should also monitor and evaluate these processes. This is most important because over a period of time I have realized it is difficult enough to establish a QMS, but it is much more difficult to maintain it. Then we have to implement actions necessary to achieve the planned results. Quality management system will decide what results we are going to achieve, but we have to have some actions to achieve those results. And also continual improvement of these processes should go on. Action is difficult, talking and thinking is easy. That is why it is much emphasis is laid on the actions. Now that we have given some thought about quality management system, we should start off thinking of documenting the same. So the quality management system documentation should include a statement of a quality policy and quality objectives. What is a quality policy? Quality policy is overall intentions and directions of a healthcare organization related to quality as formally expressed by the laboratory management. So, what is the intention and direction of a healthcare organization related to quality? Intention related to quality, direction related to quality. And this, when it is formally expressed by the management, it becomes a quality policy. So this, all the people in the organization should be aware of the quality policy so that they know what is expected of them, what they are supposed to do, what they are supposed to deliver. Now coming to quality objectives. There is a bit of difference between quality objectives and quality policy. While framing the quality objectives, emphasis should be laid so that the objectives are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound. It is also called SMART objectives. S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for realistic and T for time bound. And these objectives should be developed taking into consideration the feasibility, whether it is practicable, the availability of the financial and the manpower resources, and availability of the technological options. Otherwise, we'll have some objectives which are not achievable, which will become a Mungeri Lal ki Haseen Sapne. So it has to be practical at the same time. While setting the targets, emphasis should be given on defining responsibility. Otherwise, what happens? Nobody is responsible. Then you cannot hold anybody responsible for something that hasn't happened or something which should happen. Then we should also have time by which the targets will be achieved. Otherwise, it will go on forever. So it has to be time bound. Now, coming to documentation. Talking about documentation, we should have something called quality manual. It is nothing but a book of policies and procedures. It should also include all the procedures and records that are required. It should contain documents and records which is determined by healthcare organization to ensure effective planning, operation and control of its processes. It should also have copies of applicable regulations and standards that organization is supposed to follow. Quality manual should establish a quality policy. Quality policy, an example of a quality policy is like this. This is taken from a Sankara Netralaya's website and they say their quality policy is like this. We pledge to meet the patient's requirement by offering expert ophthalmic care with compassion through a committed professional team. We commit to achieve quality services through the quality management system while complying with all applicable regulatory requirements. So this is one example of quality policy. This is the intent by which the organization will govern itself. This is the intent with which all the staff should work. Quality manual should also contain a presentation of the organization and management structure of the laboratory or a healthcare organization and its place in any parent organization. You will say that this is too much to ask for, but this is important in that we get a bird's eye view of our place in the organization as well as we come to know about our resources that we have below us in the hierarchy and who reports to whom. like that. It should also have description of roles and responsibilities of management, which includes the director of the facility as well as the quality manager, the person who is responsible for maintaining the quality management system. Our quality manual should also have a description of the structure and relationships of the documentation used in the quality management system. So documentation is the big thing in any quality management system, and there are 4 levels of documentations that we'll have a separate podcast on what is a document and what is a record and what are the layers of various documents. But in the beginning, we have to decide the structure and relationship of the various documents that are part of the quality management system. The documented policies established for the quality management system and the reference to managerial and technical activities that support them. To execute the policies, we need activities. We need to define activities that support them. Lastly, all the staff should have access to and should be instructed on the use of application of quality manual and associated documents. So this was a brief introduction to quality management system. For those who are already in the know about it, it is a bit of repetition. But for those who are new to it, may find it interesting. And this may stimulate them to think and read about quality management system and its application in the healthcare setting. As we go along in the future podcasts, I hope to shed more light on the quality systems and improve my own understanding and hopefully your understanding about quality management systems in healthcare settings. Thank you and see you again.